City on Sunday. It's a big one. An opportunity for Amorim to complete the hat-trick on Pep after spanking him at Sporting in his final Champions League game, and Ahmad's last-minute winner at the Etihad. For United, it's an opportunity for confidence building ahead of Lyon away on Thursday. We know how big that game is. Let's run through all the team news and talk ahead of the game, as well as my predicted starting 11 and match prediction. Let's go. City coming up on Sunday for United. It is a shame that the Manchester derby on the 4th of April at Old Trafford doesn't have more importance than it does. But for United, we just need a bit of confidence going into the Lyon game because it's the biggest game this week. After Forest, it was frustrating. We created, we didn't score. How are we going to score in this game? I'm going to run through the team news from Amorim. You're going to let me know your predictions in the comments, as you always do. But I'm sad that this lad's not playing. That's the moment of the season so far, isn't it? It's one of the best moments we've had in the life. Yeah, you could, well, winning the FA Cup last season was better. Let's be totally honest. Man, we had Ahmad in this team right now. Anyway, we don't. Let's run through the team news from the press conference. This is what Ruben Amorim had to say. Mainu is possibly back on the bench. Is this Cobby? FA Cup medal in mouth. Mainu could be back on the bench. He won't be starting. De Ligt, he went, when he rolled his ankle. Carried on till to the end of the game, but it could well be that De Ligt is rested. Then for De Ligt, it's quite an obvious switch out. Now, Mount being fit to start is an interesting one. And I'll run through that in my starting 11. It depends where you see Amorim and United taking the risks when it comes to Mount. Now, I watched the press conference, right? And there was, I don't know what journalist it was, but somebody just sort of, not grilling, but just saying to Amorim, look, right, United are saying that they want to win the league by 2028, but right now you've got 22 points out of a possible 57 so far. I mean, really, is it that realistic? It felt like he was goading him into a response, but Amorim was just like, I don't want to focus on anything. I don't want to say that I need 4 years. I don't have that time. Next year, I want United to be competitive. Everything that we're doing this year, he loves his word suffering, is towards next year. I don't know, it just kind of annoyed me, if I'm being totally honest. I think Amorim's handled himself pretty well in the press so far. Now, in terms of City's team, no Haaland. This was a team that beat Leicester 2-0. You can see why City aren't City right now. There's a lot of quality in that starting 11, but compared to City teams that we have faced before, that isn't as daunting, really. It's probably the best word I would use to describe it. Now, this was United's starting 11 for the game against Forest, and there will be some changes. And the first change, of course, well, Ruben's already spoken about it there. I think this is quite an easy one. And I actually think this will be the only change that we see in that back five. I think you'll see De Ligt come out and Maguire go in. Straight swap and keep the rest the same. What else could you do? You could bring Lindelof in. There's no word on Heaven, and Heaven won't be rushed back into the team. I don't really think you change anything. Look, when it comes to Dorgu on that left-hand side, Garnacho is using his runs a lot to take the defender away from him, to give Garnacho an opportunity to go inside. Because that's what overlapping runs do. They either open up the space for you, or you use the overlapping run and you pass to that player. Garnacho has to use him more. Get to the byline, get the cross in, get the cutback. Do it more often. Turn those half chances into full chances. Golden chances. Dorgu's runs need to be used more. And Dorgu himself, it didn't have the best of games, but as if I'm going to be judging him on a game-by-game basis, 4, 5, 6 games into his United career. Diogo Dalot kind of is what he is. He's got his limitations. Sometimes he has a good game. Sometimes he has a great game. Other times he doesn't. Fingers crossed this is a good one. Now, there has to be a change in midfield for me. Like, if you look at City's midfield from that last game, what was it? Nico Gonzalez, who they signed in in January, and Gundogan. Well, again, it's not as terrifying as midfields have been previously, or dominant as City midfields have been previously. But you can't play Ugarte and Casemiro together. There's just too much space left. Simply. It's quite easy for me. Bruno and Ugarte back in midfield together. And should I say, Player of the Month, Bruno Fernandes. By the way, you know, it's the first time. There's a couple of mad stats for you. It's the first time he's won Player of the Month since his first year at the club, where he won it 4 times in that first season in 2020, or 4 times in that domestic year. And he never won it again till now. And even crazier than that, De Bruyne is leaving. De Bruyne's never won it. De Bruyne's that's hilarious. Really is. Bruno drops deeper. Bruno becomes one of the central midfielders, and it leaves a space in attack. Now, you've got different options here. You could play Xerxes there and put Højlund further forward. You could bring Mason Mount in from the start, which is a possibility. I'm kind of umming and ahhing about this. Because if I'm looking at how Amorim and United have managed injuries so far, they always err on the side of caution. So I think what you're probably more likely to see is Eriksen playing there, Xerxes dropping to the bench, and Højlund coming on. That just strikes me as the most likely option. And then bringing Mason Mount on for the last 30 minutes rather than starting him for the first 30. Now, of course, Garnacho has been frustrating to watch as a United fan. But as frustrating as he is, there isn't anybody else right now in this team who gets himself into chance-creating positions more than Garnacho. He just has to make more of those opportunities. As Amorim said in his pre-match press conference, it's about decision-making. It's about getting that last decision right, whether that's a cutback, whether that's a shot. Garnacho's just going to have to be better. And I actually think putting him on the right-hand side takes away maybe the temptation to keep cutting inside and trying to find a shot. Kind of forces him to look more for the outside and look for the cross. That's probably the starting 11 I would go for. You could switch out Mount for Eriksen. You could, in theory, play Bruno further forward and play Collier alongside Ugarte. That's not outside the realms of possibility. And, of course, you could start Xerxes. So there are a couple of options in attack. That's what I've gone for. In terms of my prediction in this game, I really want United to just... Look, this game ultimately doesn't mean anything for our season. Whether we beat City, it doesn't make the Premier League a success. If we lose to City, it's not as if we're losing out on anything because we're already like 13th, 14th, don't know where we are. We've got Lyon on Thursday, and it'll be nice to win the derby, get the bragging rights, and head in with a little bit of confidence after beating City. And for Amorim to do the hat-trick over Guardiola in his last 3 games. His final game as sporting manager at the Etihad and at Old Trafford. I'm going for a 2-1 win. Can I tell you why? Nah, not really. I'm just hoping for a squeaky bum 2-1 win. It's my prediction. You let me know what you think in the comments. What's your prediction? What's your starting 11? Get it down in the comments. And get out. It's bloody lovely. Sunshine. Let's go.